Meeting Act, the Highland Park Board of Education has given adequate notice of this meeting by having published the date, time, and place of this meeting in the Home News Tribune and has posted notice of this meeting at Bartle School, 435 Mansfield Street, Highland Park, New Jersey. Linda, could we have a roll call, please?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be slow.
No, he absolutely presented.
Deeds.
I think he,
Versa.
Ms. Aversa,
Oh, yeah.
Ms.
Berkowitz.
Bull,
yes. Here.
Ms. Simarusti, Mr. Dietz, oh, Ms. Berkowitz, Mr. Dietz,
Here.
let's see. The next would be
Me.
Mr. Ross,
Here.
I'm sorry,
Ann.
Ms. Scherber,
Here.
Mr. Sherman,
Here.
Mr. Wharton,
Here.
If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we move on to the agenda, we had a rather lengthy conversation in executive session, and unfortunately our conversation did not conclude. And so we do need some more time in closed session before we can actually begin the public meeting. We did want to come out and give you the courtesy of letting you know when we would be starting, but and we very much apologize for not being able to start on time for this meeting. But at this time, I need someone to make a motion to enter closed session to discuss the renewal of personnel and to receive attorney-client advice regarding various personnel matters.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Linda, we need a roll call.
Ms. Bull,
Here, yes.
Mr. Dietz,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Scherber,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Wharton,
Yes.
We are going to try to do our best to be out by 8:15. Okay, we will really do our best. Again, very much apologize for the delay, and thank you. To reconvene. Is there a second?
Second.
Linda, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Bull, Mr. Bull,
Oh.
Ms. Bull,
Here.
You have to say yes.
Ms.
There's a motion. There's a motion to reconvene.
Mr. Dietz,
Here. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Scherber,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Wharton.
Yes.
So first I want to say thank you for your patience. We apologize for the lateness of this, but we did have to just conclude a discussion in closed session. So back to the agenda, we need a motion for the corrections, the April 7, 2014 minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Linda?
Trying to create a roll call. Ms. Bull,
Yes.
Mr. Dietz,
Yes.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Scherber,
Yes.
Wait, what?
We need
you need to ask me.
You need to ask Mr. Sherman, and Mr. Wharton.
I'm sorry. This is very difficult to work without
I can imagine.
anything. Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve items 6 through 8 on the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on any of those items? Linda?
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Mr. Dietz?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Scherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes, abstain from item N on number 8.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Linda, were there any communications?
The board received numerous emails over the past week regarding staffing and budget, which everyone would have received.
Okay, thank you. Tim, superintendent's report.
So A was the student update, but we are down 2 students, and so I guess I'll just comment on, right now we have a large number of students that are in Atlanta, Georgia, competing at the DECA competition. So we wish them the best.
Great. You have nothing else? Okay. Ashley, can we have the curriculum report, please?
The curriculum committee did not meet this evening. Nothing to report.
Okay. Catherine?
The Finance Committee did meet tonight. We have a ROD grant update on the agenda. There are items to approve the contract, but it's pending NJSDA approval. They're very backlogged, so the whole thing won't go into effect until that approval is received, but it is on the agenda. We're working with Advocate to get the specifications for that shared service with the borough for the maintenance service custodial contract. We did review policy. Just item number 5, we received the safety grant. We have received one in the past, and we'll be able to put a new system into the high school main entrance. Instead of the front office buzzing people in, it'll be the person at the desk in front of the front doors. Item number 6, we're grateful for the grant from the Bezos Family Foundation that helped to fund Rethink HP. And the Bartle Auditorium air conditioning project is complete, and we are a little under budget, so that those funds will be going into capital reserve. And I think that's it. Thanks.
Any other thoughts about the finance report? Discussion? Anne, personnel?
Personnel Committee met tonight, and we discussed some personnel items, mostly of a confidential nature.
Is there any discussion on any of those personnel items? Adam, policies?
The policy committee did not meet tonight. I know we have 4 policies on the agenda for movement tonight. There needs to be a change to 1522 just in the first sentence. The Board of Education recognizes the for. Does not make sense. It's not English. The Board of Education recognizes, I don't know what needs to actually go there. If the whole line should be removed or what, but the first sentence was the only issue that I noticed a issue with in the policy. And we tabled this one last time, and so I don't know if we're going to want to table it again, but does anybody know? This comes from the administration side of the policy manual.
Well, if we don't know what's going to go in place of the strike-through, then we should table it.
So let's I'll table this one when I have a chance to move. I do want to report that the Finance Committee did review the policy 7441 and determined that no changes were needed for the policy. So that is on the agenda for first reading tonight. That concludes the the policy and regulations.
Okay, so for 7441, there was some concerns at the last meeting that the policy was overly broad.
Yes.
Did you look at what the potential implications of the policy were, or could be?
Yes.
Okay.
You want me to speak to it?
Yes.
Well, currently, we have systems in place we have cameras at the entrances and in some corridors that are of problematic nature. So there is a video recording, but we have no technological capabilities to delve into anyone's personal property, such as cell phones, which was referred to at the last meeting. We have also the right and ability to scrutinize our own internet to make sure there's no hacking going on or any improper use of our internet. And certainly we would maintain any surveillance that would be necessary to make sure that there is no improper use of our property. And that's as far as this goes. We have no capability nor any desire to scrutinize anyone's personal property.
And from my understanding is this is happening already, is we electronically surveil the system, and when there is an attempt to penetrate our system, the tech people have the ability to trace that back to see where it came from.
Let me ask you.
I think,
Go ahead.
so I think the concern that was brought up, so I understand, I also understand that we don't have the ability to do much of what was suggested with those concerns, but I think we could probably rectify it with the simple addition of, surveillance may be limited to, and list out how the surveillance will occur, what tools will be used to conduct the surveillance.
So let me ask you, if a student uses their cell phone versus a computer to hack or to try to penetrate our systems, how do we...
I don't think we have to get into device specific. I think once if it's someone coming into our system, then we have full rights and we have carte blanche at that point. I think the concern is the use of surveillance cameras in terms of identification of individuals on school property, right? So a simple listing of what that would entail. But I mean, breaching our network, no one has any right to do that, regardless of the device.
My thoughts on this, or my input on this, is that I feel like the intent of this policy, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sorry, I think maybe I'm not being heard. The intent of this policy is to really, I mean, in the way it's written, it's about video surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about the monitoring of our internet. So
That is, you are correct in that, but I'm addressing the questions that were brought up previously.
My point simply is that to address some of the concerns, this policy, the way it's written, if it simply talks about video surveillance, which is its intention, maybe we can have some conversations with each other about how overly broad or not broad it is, but I think the intention on this is video surveillance. I don't know what policy number off the top of my head we have that may or may not address our rights or privileges with respect to monitoring our internet and monitoring our data, but I don't think this is the policy that's supposed to cover that. I'm just throwing out the suggestion that maybe electronics, the word electronic should be video.
I'm okay with that.
And if the word is video, I don't know, that might make people more comfortable with what we're really trying to cover with this. I'm just throwing out a
Probably
suggestion.
video and or sound. I mean, if someone's off camera, but there is sound recording in the vicinity, no sound. Okay, so yeah, the video.
The policy appears in a number of districts, and it's generally unchanged. There's some changes to the notice requirement in the districts that it's used in, but there are a lot of districts that have the policy. There are a lot of districts that don't have the policy. It seems strange that, I imagine that most districts, every district is probably using some sort of video monitoring system. So I feel like to not have the policy is
little silly.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If this is really talking about video surveillance and the concern is about electronic surveillance being too broad, I think maybe that's a good way to move forward with that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So,
Are you okay with that? Yeah. I would just so, the Board of Education authorizes the use of video surveillance systems in school buildings and subsequently changed that in the blurb that will be posted to video surveillance as well, video surveillance monitoring.
So we'll just change the word electronic to video wherever it's shown
Yep.
in the policy.
Good suggestion, Greg.
okay. Is there any other discussion of any of the other policy items? Okay. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation and has reserved this time for your comments. I'd like to make a motion to set the public time limit for comments at 3 minutes for each comment.
Second.
Linda?
Okay. Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Mr. Dietz?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Scherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Oh, no, whatever. I was distracted.
So we've got a new setup, or an old new setup, but podium's over here. Make sure that you state your name and your address, and please sign in on the ledger with your name and your address as well.
Kimberly Bevilacqua Crane, speaking as president of the HPEA. I wanted to give a report of a survey that we gave to the middle school and high school staff. The question was, do you feel that having one high school principal and one middle school principal with a shared assistant principal is a more effective choice for our district than having one principal and two assistant principals run both buildings? We were looking for feedback on the decision that you made to keep two principals, one in the high school and one in the middle school. Out of a surveyed, 90 people were surveyed, 90 staff members were surveyed, 58 answered, and overwhelmingly, there was an 87.93 response of yes, that they agreed with the decision that you made. We just wanted to provide you with that feedback because we didn't have it for you since you were having that discussion last time, and there were 12% that said no. There were also some comments. One was, I like the idea of, There were varying comments. One said, depending on the job requirement and the fulfillment of duties, both can be effective. It has worked very well in the last few years. Not broken, don't fix it. Also, we are concerned about the non-renewals of non-tenured staff, considering all performance-based terminations, if they are performance-based terminations, are concluded within the guidelines of the new teacher evaluation system. We feel that support for our newest members has been in the past and continues to be lacking, especially in light of the absence of building principals. Normally, your principals are the people that you go to, that you would build a relationship with, that you get guidance from, and this has been a problem in the past year. All of us, including administration, are learning the new system with very little to no training, and we need a better plan. The association is on board with jettisoning Teachscape only if, and building our own model, only if the proper timeline, planning, and training is provided. That's essential to a decision like that. We're very much on board with working with administration to develop something new, but we would like to see a timeline and the planning before that and look at something tangible before that happens. Thank you.
Kim, can I just make a suggestion?
Sure.
some of the best mentoring programs that I've ever seen are when they're done collaboratively. So if you, as the teachers union and the administration, can sit down and determine what are the best needs, what are the most important needs for a first-year teacher, what are the most important needs for a second-year teacher, a third-year teacher, maybe even a fourth, fifth, sixth-year teacher, that might be a really great way to start, so that you can assure that your membership needs are met. And the administration can also talk about the kinds of things that it's looking for and valuing in new staff as well.
We'd be happy to develop something like that. Development of a skip panel is also something that we're looking forward to. It's something that we're moving away from the DIAC, I think that's what it's called, committee, and moving towards skip, but we don't have one solidified that I know of. There may have been teacher leaders that have been put out to the state, I'm not sure.
Kim, can you say what those are?
What's that?
Can you say what those are?
A skip panel is a school improvement panel that is a group of teacher leaders that works on evaluations. We look at aggregate data. We don't look at specific data about specific people's evaluations. That we don't feel that would be proper for us to do to colleagues. But it is a panel that looks at all of the data to see where the intrinsic problems are, where people are struggling the most. And then we come up with a plan to help those people. So it's similar to a mentoring program, but on a much higher level, and it's with administration involvement.
Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Liz Estes, and I'm 311 North 4th. I wanted to ask about the slide from last Monday. Is that okay?
Sure.
So it's the slide about central office efficiencies and the consolidation or elimination of 7 staff positions. So I felt like we spent a lot of time on the middle school, high school, and came up with a good decision about that. But I have a lot of concerns about that other slide. My biggest concern is I'm a business analyst, so I was wondering if what the next level is. So we used that slide last week to talk about numbers, and then there's going to have to be the actual doling out of those jobs and reassigning that work. And so I was wondering if I could ask about task analysis, and if that's being done at a lower level, and if there's going to be lists of tasks and lists of competencies and kind of a plan for how to go forward. And overall, I just wanted to give an example of what my concern is. So I was looking at the Title I coordinators, and it seemed like, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer that, maybe Title I coordinator was something we could put together in other bailiwicks. But then I thought about my personal experience with a Title I coordinator, and that was my daughter was in 4th grade, and her AST test scores were very low. She was not proficient. And Jen Lugo reached out to us. And at first, it was kind of a new program. And when she first reached out to us, her outreach, it's kind of a stigma to be put into the tutoring program. And so the first way that we got invited was Olivia got a pink envelope, and nobody else got a pink envelope at her table. So I, engaged Jen immediately, very personally, and then Jen just did this amazing outreach to us and to Olivia that was very, very personal. She'd also been her 1st grade teacher. So here was this, No Child Left Behind law, and I already had questions about it, and I had questions about testing, and then my daughter was being put in this group, and I just wanted you to know that that experience turned out to be really, really positive for us, because Jen Lugo humanized the whole thing and took advantage of this pile of money and put Olivia into these amazing tutoring groups, and the experience was that she ended up being advanced proficient in math the next year. And it was all because of this, I feel, very personal attention. So that's the kind of thing that I'm worried about in consolidations. You know, how are we going to provide that kind of, that's what we're providing now. And I understand that it's a luxury, but it's an important luxury that made a huge difference, helped us really take advantage of this money and apply it in a very personal way. So my question is there a plan to do a task analysis on what's happening in those positions so we can really understand how that work is going to be doled out and done by fewer people? And I'm thinking here too about Scott, superintendent from Kenilworth Schools, Scott Taylor, saying, well, it looks like we're getting a smaller group of central office and maybe it's not enough people. And part of what people do is provide that personal connection and those personal touches. So that's my concern. So my question for you is, is there a plan to do, as you actually dole out the work, reassign the work, to do a task analysis? Will it be done? Who's going to do it? Is the results of that going to be something that can be publicly looked at?
We've already completed the job descriptions, and
Okay.
that'll be, when they're approved, you'll see that's been done and completed, and it'll be reflective of the tasks that need to be accomplished.
Has anybody looked at the tasks that were being done
Yes.
by this group?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll see a before and after?
We have the job descriptions and the responsibilities that existed before, and again, that'll be reflected in the new job descriptions.
So we'll be able to compare both?
Yeah.
Okay.
When are the job descriptions going to be presented?
They can be at the next board meeting.
Okay. If we can do that, that would be great. So we'll present those at the May 19th
May 19th?
meeting?
Okay. I look forward to seeing them. I hope it's done at a really human level.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Hi, good evening. Ann Gowan, South 2nd Avenue. I was planning on giving this board meeting a pass. But then I was very dismayed when I saw on the agenda under reappointment of non-tenured professional staff that my son's kindergarten teacher from last year is not being reappointed. Barbara Kausch is her name. I know this board doesn't talk with the public about personnel matters, but I wanted to just share with the board what a valued teacher this was. And I have to say, I was crying when I heard this. She's one of the best teachers we've had in this district. She, although she's relatively new to the district and not tenured, obviously, she's an experienced teacher. I don't know if all the board members are familiar with her personally, because she is new. I believe she had a career in Edison and took time off to take care of her family, and then returned to teaching. She was a para for a year here, then spent 2 years, now is her second year, teaching kindergarten. I think she was at Pine Grove for a while before that. I just can't even tell you what a fantastic teacher she was. It was a very challenging classroom last year, my kid included. He was the crier who would sit in a corner and cry all day for a month. And Mrs. Kausch, she just went out of her way. She did research to try to figure out how to help him. There were other kids. This is kids incoming to kindergarten. We had a pusher, very nice kid, but a forceful pusher and poker and puncher. And Mrs. Kausch dealt with that in just the most respectful, gentle manner possible. Parents were worried and complaining, and what are we going to do? This kid is poking my kid. There were kids, of course, who didn't speak English. There was the usual range in kindergarten, and as I'm sure everybody knows, kindergarten is a particularly difficult time to deal with a diversity of experience because the kids can't control themselves. So we have some kids who don't read at all, or who barely know the alphabet. Other kids are reading chapter books. Anyway, she just dealt with it in a phenomenal manner. I know there were other parents who had specific concerns with their children, and Mrs. Kausch went out of her way to meet with us. My child, he had she referred him to the GT program, GNT, whatever it's called. but at the same time, he also had some needs in the other direction, and she was very sensitive and informed about dealing with those. So I was just very disappointed to the point of real heartbreak to see that her name was not on this list. And I'm asking you to please reconsider, to put her name on this list and reappoint her. I know that there are issues about RIFT tenured teachers needing to bump down into non-tenured positions, but I know this board and this administration can come up with some kind of creative way to retain our best teachers. I mean, I see that as the central reason for your being. I mean, if we can't retain an excellent teacher like this, I don't know, it makes me really sad. So I just would respectfully ask you to please reconsider, Mrs. Couch. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
There is no pen.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dora Sally, and I'm here to talk about Mrs. Couch as well. I sent you an email last night. I don't know if you had time to read it, but I would like to read it aloud. So, my daughter is in Mrs. Couch's class, and I'm here because I just got the news last night that she might not be here next year. I have to tell you, I got the chills in a bad way when I heard this. I would like to speak up to show my support for her. What I say is not because she's my neighbor, she's my friend, my best friend. She's not my best friend. She's simply my daughter's teacher, so my experience with her is based on only my experience with her as a teacher. I have to tell you that my daughter hates school. She hates it because what you are doing to it. She asks me every morning and every night not to send her there next day, and when I ask her why, her exact words are, "Mom, I love my teacher, Mrs. Couch, and I love my friends, but I don't like the school. I am always tired there, and when I come home, I can't do anything because I'm so tired." And surely she is. Her bedtime is at 6 p.m., and she falls asleep pretty quick. 6 p.m. So how much time does she has to play, right? When I went to talk to Mrs. Couch about my daughter, she told me she's a very happy, well-adjusted, nice kid. She doesn't have any issues or behavior problems. Of course I was happy to hear that since I was concerned. Otherwise I wouldn't have gone in to ask her opinion, which I really respect. But this is not about my daughter. In this case, she's just a case study where I wanted to show you how great Mrs. Couch is. Last year, my daughter was very shy, unhappy, introvert, antisocial, and lost in a level where the teacher and I were concerned about her, and I almost returned her back. But this year, she truly blossomed, and this is because of Mrs. Couch. My daughter is obsessed with her. She even invited her to her birthday party in January, and her birthday party isn't until August. She picked 5 people, and one was Mrs. Couch, which is a great sign on how Mrs. Couch can connect to kids. But you all probably don't care about all these personal stories, otherwise we wouldn't be here talking about teachers getting sent away. So let me change my language to a dialect, what you can understand, and let's talk about academics. My daughter is bilingual. English is her second language. Since we exclusively speak a different language at home, she started a bit behind her peers. Despite the fact that she has some language issues, she managed to get on grade level in reading and writing. My daughter's achievements are because of Mrs. Couch. I am a parent who focuses on play for my daughter. I want her to play with her dolls and run around outside, but instead she's sitting down and reading and writing in her book about stories, which are totally readable, by the way, and she recognizes her sight words, which I never knew or practiced with her. It all came from her teacher, who made her know, use, and love the letters. And when she's not writing stories, she's drawing pictures to her teacher, Mrs. Couch, or about her with lots of heart. I have no idea about your reason to let her go. She is great on personal level, which is important to the kids and parents, and she is great in academics too, which might be your interest. She filled the gap in my daughter's knowledge and raised her up on grade level. She made a personal connection with my daughter, which is strong enough for her to go to school despite the fact that she hates it. If Mrs. Couch is gone, my daughter loses the last string which is moving her forward and motivates her in school, and if that happens, I will pull her out of the school. And I will look for other solutions. I cannot let her spirit be destroyed by decisions what you are making, who don't care about her existence or well-being. I hope my daughter will see Mrs. Couch next year when and if she returns to Irving, and she can hug her in the hallway to make her feel a little better about school, because that is what Mrs. Couch is doing for my daughter, making her feel better about school and learning.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
My name is Sheila Roth. Address is 131 Johnson Street. And I also want to talk about Mrs. Couch. She was my son Owen's kindergarten teacher last year, and I want to reiterate what an incredible teacher she is. She is inventive and creative and thoughtful and kind, and she instills those qualities into her students as well. We found that our son really flourished in her classroom. We were a little worried about him going into kindergarten. He's a goofy kid, and we weren't sure what to expect when he got there. And she allowed him to be who he was, and at the same time instilled in him how to respect boundaries and the work that he had to do, and to respect his classmates, his teachers, adults, and himself. She's taught him so many valuable lessons. And sorry, I'm emotional because she is, by proxy, you know, the caregiver for our son when he was in kindergarten, and she did such a phenomenal job. I know that I'm not alone in feeling that way, and that, you know, she's such an asset to Irving School, and people ask me all the time about Irving School, people with younger children, and I always tell them that the teachers make it such a magical, wonderful place. And Mrs. Couch is a shining example of what I mean when I say that. And without her in that school, I won't be able to say that with a full heart anymore. Because if you are letting her go, what does that say about the school and about the children? I know that you have difficult decisions to make, but I really have to ask, is this letting her go the only solution, or was just the first quick solution? And I would really implore you to try to find another way, because she is too valuable to lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila.
Andrew Zappa, 131 Johnson Street. This is just a comment. I wonder if this is the first back-to-back husband and wife combo. So again, on Mrs. Couch, I can't say much better than what my wife does. She's certainly more eloquent a person than I am, and does better at the microphone than I do. So I'm going to just comment on how great a teacher she was and how much she touched us. But I want to circle back to how she was referred to in prior meetings with a corporate word of an inefficiency, when you had 3 people just refer to her, cut it down to as perhaps one of the most efficient educators that ever touched their children. So I can't help but think that you need to circle around and find a way to look at her and say, where can we place her in this district? There has to be a position. I'm sure these computers are great. The ones you got for the kids are great. She's going to touch other kids in the same way she touched my kid and her child and Ann's child in ways that a computer will never be able to do. So you have to circle back. You have to think of your budget, your due diligence, every line item going forward, and you have to think of back. You can never leave these meetings giving yourself a pat on the back that you've done a good job, because 9 people lost their jobs. How many more have been lost by attrition? And now we're doing it again. It has to stop.
Thank you, Andrew.
My name is Melissa Newman. I'm at 215 Montgomery Street. I want to talk about item number K. Be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to hire new staff in the absence of the board, with formal approval being taken by the Board of Education at the next regular public meeting. I'm concerned about this because we have 2 principals that need to be hired. We're coming very closely to summer. And I think that just saying the superintendent can hire somebody and they'll do it at the next regular meeting, which could be in the fall, that's not a good plan, and that in terms of the superintendent specifically, that the board should go into a special meeting and still be required that it go before the board, which would mean it would go before the public. Those positions are just way too important. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
So that's actually in reference to circumstances that arise, such as when you need like a paraprofessional for a special education student. When a student comes in and they have needs, and we can then appoint them, and then it's approved at the next meeting. It's not something that is going to be utilized for administrative placements. It's actually specific to be responsive to when you have changing circumstances and an immediate need for staff.
Then you need to put that specifically word for word as you just said, so that you can't use the principal's position as a loophole.
Is there any other public comment?
Denise Mayfire, 314 Wayne Street. I echo what Ms. Newman said. This last board meeting, the community gave you basically a no confidence vote in the superintendent, and this was passed without any discussion. It probably is a pro forma kind of thing, as Mr. Capone just stated. However, it's very concerning that administrators and other important positions might be fostered upon us without any public discussion or oversight by the board. I could be wrong, but it is concerning. As also is concerning is the number 6 of appointing Mr. Capone to a state level. I don't know what that means, but I surely don't want him representing this district. He does not have the community support.
Could we talk about the number 6? Could we just get clarification on that? That's the Ed Services motion.
Where are you? Oh, I see.
Do you want me to read it?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
I'm not on. Because we're a member of the Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission Cooperative, we need to have a representative, and the representative must be the chief school administrator. I believe this is a simple requirement of the representative from the Board of Education.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
Okay. Lastly, under personnel and communication, number 6 there, it says the Board of Ed approves the recommendation of the superintendent to reappoint the following non-tenured administrators from July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014. And salaries will be listed upon completion of contract negotiations, and it identifies certain individuals. I just want to make sure that that is not a typo and that it only goes into 2014 as opposed to the other ones that go to 2015.
I don't.
Okay, has that been
Yeah,
corrected?
mine says correct thing. I was surprised when she said it.
Well, mine, I printed out, it says 13 to 14. So as long as the corrected
guess-
agenda has the proper dates, obviously.
Maybe it was,
You don't have
Yeah, and I have the same thing.
wow.
We just,
So these folks would only be appointed through the end of 2014 school year, June 30th, correct?
the correction will be made.
So does that mean that these folks will be here next year, including Ms. Callis, who the teachers' union just had a 98% vote of non-confidence in?
There will be a vote taken.
There will be a vote taken? And all the other individuals will be appointed through 2015 as opposed to 2014? Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Last
Thank you.
question. Was the letter that the community submitted to you last week that we requested be placed in the personnel file of Mr. Capone placed in the personnel file?
We don't discuss that. We don't discuss that.
We don't discuss personal matters, but we did receive the letter, and we appreciate the sending of the letter
Yep.
to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, Ashley, could we have the curriculum motion items, please?
Motion to accept the approval of field trips. I move that the Board of Education approve the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the field trips as per the attached.
Is there a second?
I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah,
you said.
Ashley just
I'm
moved,
sorry.
he just tried to move motion item number 1.
It's his first time. Give him a break.
Sorry? Do you want me
No,
to
no.
restate?
No, no, it's
restate
fine.
or
I'm
hearing
additional
you, that's all.
information?
No, it's fine. We need a second.
Second.
Linda, roll call, please.
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Mr. Dietz?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Scherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes.
Catherine,
I move items 1 through 11 on the agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other discussion? Linda?
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Mr. Dietz?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes to all except abstain from 8.
Ms. Scherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton?
Yes. And could we have the personnel items?
Yes, I'd like to move items 1 through 5. I need to make corrections on 6 and 7. On 6, we are deleting Mike Lassiter, and we are amending the opening paragraph to read academic year 2014-2015.
Thank you.
Because it doesn't actually say that on mine either, Linda.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't worry about it. We'll fix it.
On item 7, there's a correction. Lori Zendiorgi
St. George.
is going to be at the high school, not at the middle school. And I would like to move items 8 through 15 and number 16 on the addenda, which corrects Mike Lassiter's status from item 6.
And 6 and 7 with the changes. And 6 and 7 with the changes.
Is it?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and 6 and 7 with the changes, sorry
I didn't
about
get
that.
the addendum up there. I never.
We will in a second. We will.
I didn't get a chance.
You didn't distribute
I didn't
this?
get a chance to get the addendum up there.
Okay.
I can
So
that's-
just read item
Can we read
16.
it?
Oh, I'm sorry, the addendum is the approval of a tenure appointment. I move that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve tenure to the following non-tenured administrator and reappoint them from July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2015. Salary will be listed upon completion of contract negotiations. The tenure date is 7/1/2014. Michael Lassiter, principal of the middle school.
Thank you, Ann. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Congratulations to Mr. Lassiter on receiving tenure. Is there any other discussion? Linda?
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Mr. Dietz?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Scherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes to all except for number 6, no to Michelle Callis.
Mr. Warden?
Yes. Adam?
Yes, the policy committee has those 2 policies to move for first and second reading. The policy for surveillance will be moved with the changes. Linda, you are familiar with the changes?
Yes.
Then with that, I'd like to move items 1 and 2.
Is there a second?
We're
Sorry.
tabling number 2, or?
No.
What were we?
Tabling school level planning. Or not moving it.
That's what I'm saying. We're
Because that was the one with
tabling.
the
Oh, that's
strike
sorry.
through.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. So let me revise my motion. I'd like to move items 1 and 2. I would like to move items 1 and item number 2, only 7250. Not move 1522.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any discussion? When we do the, when we do 7441, should we change the title as well as?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And Linda, can you fix up have your staff or the administrative staff fix up the language of 1522, please? And from reading it over.
Well, I'll find out who's responsible for that, and we'll make sure that
Right.
it gets taken care of.
It goes through the personnel committee and through.
Yeah, but my staff had nothing to do
I know.
with this.
But this
so-
is presumably from Strauss Esme, so
Yeah.
Okay,
there
we
must
can
be
look into it.
an updated version of it.
We'll look into it.
And I just wanted to add a little clarity to why all these policies are coming through. Right now, the board is going through a process of looking at what policies we have and what policies we don't have. Many of these policies come as policy alerts from a service that we employ to provide us with the most up-to-date policy. Earlier this year, we did an audit of our policy book in preparing for CUSAC to figure out what policies we have that are mandated and which policies that we have that are not mandated and which ones we would look to add to our policy book that are of the non-mandated policies. And most of these policies coming out of the Finance Committee of the 7,000 and 6,000 number are non-mandated policies, but we believe that we practice them and we think that they're appropriate to have in our policy books.
And I want to thank Tim especially for guiding this process because...
And Israel.
And Israel, right, absolutely. We have for many years apparently not utilized some of these policies which we should be using. Linda?
Ms. Bull?
Yes.
Mr. Dietz?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Scherber?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Warden?
Yes.
For the President's report, the first thing I want to discuss is the technology plan. There's been certainly a lot of discussion about the technology plan from the community and certainly from the board as well in terms of trying to figure out best way to move forward. Now that we've got the budget which was passed last year and we are on, last meeting, we are on course to make some positive changes in that area. I'd like to direct the superintendent to develop a technology plan which can be implemented during the 2014-2015 school year. My sense of this is we could have something like a 1, a 2, and a 3-year plan. I'm not sure that a 5-year plan, given the way that things change, is all that useful these days. But I'd like to have this technology plan presented at the July 21st, 2014 meeting. And that should give you some time, I think, to develop the plan, and then we'll have some time during the summer to start implementing things, and then obviously the community can be involved in some way in that process, and then we can move forward in a meaningful way with regard to technology. Okay?
Perfect. Great idea.
The second thing I want to say is sort of more philosophical, I guess. We have just gone through a very challenging time with the budget. And again, as I said last meeting, I do want to thank everyone for the concerns and the comments that were made. As I mentioned last meeting, it's not that we're not listening, but sometimes we do disagree. And I think that will continue to happen. There are some things that we will agree on and some things that we will disagree on. And obviously the hope moving forward is that the actions of this administration and the actions of this board will be of the type that we can all agree are for the best interests of our students. My son and my daughter and my little baby will be going through the district, and I want nothing more than to ensure that this district looks in some way like the character that it had when I was a student here. I got a wonderful education here, and I want to restore that and ensure that all students in this district can have access to that. We have a budget which has moved forward. We have personnel which we have decided to move forward with as a board. We have a superintendent who we are comfortable moving forward with at this point. And this is the new state of things in the district. Where we are right now is where we are moving forward from. And so what I would ask of the community is, of course, a very high level of scrutiny. We do have many people who have very good ideas. We have a lot of people who have brought forth their ideas in very constructive ways, very positive ways. We have people who are engaged in helping the administration and the Board of Education work to improve its relationship with the community, which has been undoubtedly something that has been questionable at best at various times during the last 5-6 months. And we have a very dedicated group of folks in this town who all want the best for their students, the children of this town, and for the teachers of the district. I ask that when you continue to join us at these meetings, that you keep these things in mind. We are here to serve you, and we are here to serve the interests of the students of this district, and we need your support in that process. We certainly want pushback where there's areas for pushback, but we also need constructive feedback, things that we can take moving forward. And I would appreciate that, and I'm sure this board would very much appreciate that. Thank you. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Okay. The Highland Park Board of Education welcomes public participation, and there is a reserve this time for your comments. Again, please state your name and address and sign in on the ledger. Okay.
Do you want a motion?
I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session at 6:30 p.m. on May 19th, 2014 at the middle school to discuss personnel, litigation, and negotiations.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Anna.
Greg.
I seconded it.
Greg.
May 19th,
Greg.
6:30,
We also have to go tonight.
Over here.
2014.
Yeah, we're about to.
Oh, this
Yeah.
should say this should say Bartle School. It says middle school. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will not be conducting any other public business, but we actually do have to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personnel matter. The Board of Education will make the aforementioned information available to the public when the reason for confidentiality no longer exists.
Immediately following this meeting. So
Immediately
moved.
following this meeting, yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And we don't.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Thank you.